Hello folks, hope you're having a wonderful end to your week. We're on Friday now. I am currently dying of hay fever and I need to put my microphone down first so you can actually hear me. Hello. Hope you're doing all well, hope you're having a wonderful end to your week and that, you're going into the weekend fully recharged and hoping that you're going to have a nice time in the sun this weekend. If you're working this weekend, thank you very much for helping the world go round. You guys rock, and I used to do that as well. It was horrible. I used to do it myself. I hated it. It was horrible. So thank you for doing it. If you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below. The Patreon button is also down below if you want to help out the channel and buy me a beer for one of these sunny days over a weekend. That'd be cool. Again, also use the promo code Northern Exile down below to get yourself 5% off at checkout for all of your model needs from Composite Games. We're currently trying to keep them really, really busy on the run up to 10th because they're all so busy, and we need to support our local, smaller stores because they do a lot for us. Moving on, you have two hobby nightmares today. This one isn't going to be a long one. I am at the end of the week, guys. I am ready to collapse. I'm done. I'm just done. I've had enough. So, this won't be a huge long one. Every single time I say this, though, I'm here for 45 minutes. So, you can see by the time stamp down below whether I got there or not, or whether I kept my promise or not. But it should be minus 20 minutes. But we'll see. We'll see. I've not read these two yet, but I've been told they're very entertaining. So, Bloodraven98 says, "Hi North, Bloodraven93 here." Oh, it's 93, not 98. Apologies. I'll change that. 93. Hope you've been well. I have, thank you. It's been a while since I last sent in a story. Our university's been keeping me really busy, but thankfully, I've just finished my second year with a grade of 82%. That's good. Very, very good, very good. So the second year is the first year that it counts, so well done to you. Anyway, as the title suggests, I don't have a nightmare for you, but rather an unpopular opinion. Not sure if you're still doing those. Yeah, if it counts as a nightmare if your opinion's bad enough. Hopefully, it's worth putting on the channel. So, what's my unpopular opinion? 9th edition was not as bad as people claim, and 10th edition is looking to be dull in comparison. I've often heard people say that 9th edition was overcomplicated, and all the times I've played 9th, I honestly don't see how. While I can understand the issue of it being bloated with stratagems and secondaries, with a lot of stratagems doing exactly the same things, I don't think the bloat necessarily is the issue of it being complicated. I took a break from wargaming around the beginning of 6th edition, until about a quarter of the way through 9th, so it was quite a big shock when my last game before the break was in 5th edition. To come back and see how different the game was, and I honestly thought it was vastly better. Being able to use stratagems such as Auspex Scan to shoot incoming deep striking units made the game feel a lot more dynamic. Realistically, if a squad of 10 absolute unit Terminators teleported in front of an enemy unit, that enemy unit isn't just going to stand there and show common courtesy, they're going to try and shoot them before they cause havoc. The only issue I had with 9th was the Armour of Contempt, which slowed the game down and made Space Marines be able to withstand a blast from a las cannon, which just shouldn't happen, and towards the end of 9th, when Games Workshop made the majority of upgrades for units free. The second issue, free upgrades, kind of relates to my primary issue with 10th, and why, to me, it's going too far in the opposite direction. Now, I don't have an issue with the core rules whatsoever. They seem pretty fine so far. My issue is with the indexes that have been released so far. Where the end of 9th had the issue of free upgrades, 10th has the issue of barely any upgrades. For example, a Stern Guard squad at the end of 9th could trade their bolters for combi bolters, each having different stats based on whether it's a combi flamer, plasma, melter, etc. And 2 squad members could take a heavy weapon, a plasma cannon, multi-melter, etc. This allowed them to be equipped with a variety of different weapons, depending on how you wanted to play them, and what you wanted them to focus on. The problem was, all of these upgrades were completely free. If you wanted to, you could do a Vanguard detachment with 6 squads of 10 Stern Guards, have them drop down in drop pods on the first turn with melter weapons 9 inches away from the enemy, and completely spam away all of their tanks for free. 10th edition, however, has the issue of not providing enough upgrades for a variety of play styles. Now, Stern Guard can trade their bolters for combi weapons, which share the exact same stat line, which makes little sense. when each type of combi weapon should be suited to what you're fighting against, such as flamers are effective against hordes, plasmas against elite infantry, melters against tanks, etc. What Games Workshop should have done, if they wanted to ease the bloat, is allow for far more kinds of upgrades, but make them points costs. You want to field 30 Stern Guard with combi plasmas and plasma cannons? Sure, but the combi plasmas are going to cost you about 10 points each, and the cannons will cost you 20. You want to give all of your Vanguard Power Fists and Storm Shields? Absolutely you can, but the Power Fists will cost you 30 points, and the Storm Shields 20. You can run a super elite heavy hitting army with a wide range of options, but have very few units due to points costs, or you can take the standard loadout, but have more models. Okay. Before we go any further, I sort of see what you're saying, but I'm not seeing how this eliminates bloat. You know what I mean? I think you've got a hankering for 9th edition, which is fine. It's all good. But as someone who's played, I think a lot of the people who didn't like 9th edition, right, played 8th edition. Right, okay? So 8th edition to me was probably the best edition that we've had. Especially at the start of the edition. It was fast-paced, it was deep, and you could really get some stuff out of your indexes, and it was really cool. I think a lot of the people who look at 9th and how 9th went in the end played 8th and realised, oh yeah, that's how it should be. And then all of a sudden that model is then ruined by constant stratagem bloat and constant things like that. The reason that we say it's bloated isn't because the game's taking too long, right? That's not really the reason. The game taking a long time is annoying, but it's not the worst thing ever. It's the amount of things you have to remember to have an army that plays correctly on the battlefield, and that you're not missing things. The worst thing in the world is missing rules that you should have used and then realising it later on. Games Workshop quite rightly, do not want people to have that feeling. They want you to be able to get your army, to know the 10 major rules that are in the army that are going to let you do some really cool stuff, and play the game. They don't want you trawling through data sheets, they don't want you trawling through books and books and books of stuff, they don't want you going through lists and lists and lists. That's what slows down the game, man. Armour of Contempt didn't slow down the game. It made Space Marines a lot more harder to kill, right? That's just making things harder to kill. You're still playing the game. It may slow down when the game ends, but it doesn't slow the game down. You're simply shooting at something that's a lot tougher now. That's it. But it doesn't slow the game down. The game's still being played. What slows the game down is you going, which stratagem is that? Hang on a minute. You take 10 minutes looking through your fucking book while I'm standing there with my thumb up my arse, thinking, when am I going to get to play again? And I lose all interest in the game, because by the time you come back and go, oh yeah, this really overpowered stratagem here that you had no way of planning for, yeah, I've got you there, so that your entire squad's wiped out. At this point, I ask you not to roll for it, because I've been waiting here for 15 minutes now, and I just take up my models and go, yeah, okay, they're dead. Right? That's bloat. That's slowing the game down. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about bloat and slowing the game down. We're not talking about models being more or less powerful, because you're still playing the game. If my Space Marines are much more powerful now, so what? We're still playing the game, right? It's only if we actually stop the game to look through copious amounts of actual rule books and stat lines and supplements and all these other things that are coming out and ruining the game as it goes on, that's when we start to draw the line and say, hang on a minute, hang on just a minute, this game is slowing down, and none of us are having fun anymore. That's the point. Okay? Carrying on. It seems rather than fixing the issue of free spam, Games Workshop decided the best option was to get rid of most options to play your army the way you want to play it. From what I've seen, man, the opposite is true. So, yeah, okay, from an upgrade standpoint, yes, they've taken away a lot of stuff. Or they've given it more of a bland, it now has this type of ruling, do you know what I mean? So you still get your options, but there are basically, there's one of 3 instead of one of 6. But in terms of the way the game's made up, you can actually get some really cool combinations in there. I'm not saying 10th is going to be great. There are some things that I picked out that I don't like. The Force Organisation chart is one of them. You know, when they say, hey, you can have whatever you want in the army, as long as it strictly conforms to this chart over here. It's like, guys, that's not what you said the edition was going to be. You said the edition was going to be a constant, like, play your army your way. Okay, fine. If I'm going to play my army my way, why do I need to adhere to this force organization chart that says I can only have 2 elites? You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I'm sorry, that's silly. They should trust you to go and find your opponent accordingly and say, look, what kind of army do you want to play? That kind of a thing. Matched play, I get it. Matched play should be very much so, yeah, there are certain rules to what you can bring, what you can and can't bring. But in terms of the actual game itself, there are certain points where I'm just like, do you know what? Just let me play what I want to play with. Anyway, another thing they've done to fix the bloat, or they could have done to fix the bloat, would have been to get rid of excess datasheets. We currently have datasheets for multiple different captains, librarians and chaplains, when this could have been fixed by getting rid of a bulk of them. For example, getting rid of the datasheets for Terminator Captain, Gravis Captain, Phobos Captain, Captain with a jump pack, and simply have them upgrade options displayed on the standard Captain's datasheet. Games Workshop could still save money from these kinds of models, but we wouldn't need 10 different datasheets because a captain has a power fist and another has a bloody chainsword. It would be very similar to the 4th edition Tyranid Codex, which had about 12 different units, give or take. But each unit had a huge amount of upgrades you could give them, rather than having separate datasheets for the same unit with slightly different weapons. With regards to this to the captain example, you could simply say, okay, this standard captain in power armor can be upgraded to have Terminator armor for 50 points, and this gives him +1 to his wounds, attacks and armor save, and gives him a 4+ invulnerable save. What do you think, North? Am I onto something? Do you agree? Or are these just the ramblings of a madman? No, you are onto something. You are onto something. I like that last scenario there that you painted there. I think that's a pretty cool way of doing it. So I do see that one. I think, yes, I do. I think there are too many data sheets. Even in the Grey Knight Codex, you got like the Brotherhood Captain with this and the Brotherhood Captain with that. But at the same time, I kind of get what they're doing in that they're making it more modular. So instead of going in and fine-tuning what you're doing, you're going, I'm taking this captain here. That's exactly how many points he costs. That's exactly all the options that he has. It's all on one datasheet. I now don't need to go over on my army ever again. I've got it here. Bang. I plug and play. It's plug and play, essentially, right? I get my Space Marine captain and I go, bang, there he is. He's got a jump pack and a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield. Cool. Why? Because that's the datasheet in the Codex. It says that. It says that I can do that. I think what they're trying to do is they're taking the math hammer out of Warhammer. They're trying to, anyway. There's not something you can ever really do. But they're trying to make it a lot more simplified to just get your models on the tabletop. And that's something that I actually quite appreciate. I do agree with what you're saying, though. It would be quite nice to have certain models that can have lots of different upgrades. You know, saving on the data sheets and putting them all in the same one, that's fine. But in doing that, you have to remember the gotchas start coming back. People start coming back with a lot more, shall we say, broken combinations, because when you write rules that way, they become a lot easier to exploit, because it's a lot harder to get underneath the hood of the rules and see what the hell is going on. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, Matt says, hi North, just a short one for you today. I got back into the hobby at the end of 8th edition, just as lockdown started. I built up a 2,000 point Necron army when lockdown started. To ease, I joined a local 40k group and began playing 9th edition. Being honest, I found the rules completely overwhelming, and I was always forgetting unit abilities and stratagems, which could have saved me in a particular circumstance. Yes, exactly, which is why we need far less of them. Moving on. Still, I was having fun rolling dice, and despite losing about 80% of my games, I always had a good time. For example, in one game I was playing against orcs, it was obvious I had lost by about the end of turn 2. At that point, my objective changed from win the game to annoy his war boss. He would kill a bunch of my big blob of 20 Necron warriors, and then I used every trick at my disposal to maximise the number of resurrections that they had. We had a good laugh imagining this usually jolly orc getting more and more frustrated because the Necrons died so easily they weren't fun to fight and just kept coming back, but I digress. One day, I played a Dark Angels player. Let's call him Pygmalion. Pygmalion was a power gamer whose list comprised solely of Deathwing Terminators supported by apothecaries. Oh my god. I was totally annihilated. In the entire game, I think I killed about 2 of his models. Not units, models. I basically couldn't do anything. I couldn't kill him, I couldn't push him off of objectives, and I couldn't beat him in close combat. The game ended up with me being tabled and essentially scoring no points. Now, I don't hold it against Pygmalion at all. He built his list in accordance with the rules, and I don't think anyone should have to make weak armies just because someone else might not have such a good grasp of the rules. That is true. That is true, and that's something that we forget a lot of the time. When we have a go at these people who go after newbies and play them with ridiculously stupid lists, we don't, we don't like... He shouldn't have to nerf his army for you. No. But you're missing the point though, dude. And we're not saying he needs to nerf his army for you. If you want to play with those armies, you go right ahead, dude. It's your hobby. You do what you want. If you like playing with really powerful stuff, play with really powerful stuff. But keep it away from beginners. That's what we mean. You can play whatever army you want. Go and find another veteran who likes the power game and really test your skills. What he's doing here, man, is he's picking on you. That's what he's doing. He's putting you as another notch on his bedpost sort of a thing, right? He's there to make sure another win to my name. Cross that one off the list. That's what he's doing. This is small dick behaviour. It's annoying. It shouldn't be in the hobby. And dude, if you are one of these people and you really like powerful tournament lists, go and play other tournament power list people. Go and play them. And if you have a suspicion that the person you're playing isn't one of those people, tell them what kind of armies you usually bring. And I'm telling you now, a lot of them will say, do you mind not doing that? And if you say no, if you say you're not going to do that, they'll say, okay, no worries, I'll go play someone else, there's no problem, right? Because they don't want to waste their time. Don't be this guy. I know Matt's giving him a bit of leeway here, but I don't agree. I think you have every right to bring whatever army you want to the tabletop, and I support your right to do whatever you want with your models and your time. No problem at all. But pick your opponent. It goes both ways. Anyway, that said, that game completely turned me off of 9th edition. There we go, see? Another one lost. Another one bites the dust. Well done, Pygmalion. Well done, my friend. You've driven off another one from the hobby. Another notch on your tally of victories, eh? Brilliant. And I haven't played a game since. Brilliant. Yeah. It just wasn't fun. I spent the entire game watching my units get wiped out in his turn, and then rolling loads of dice to achieve absolutely nothing in my turn. Yeah, and by the way, I bet you he had... I bet you he's pulling some of his punches and not using stratagems that could have interrupted your turn. You didn't need to, but he could have. He could have made sure in 9th edition that he had his turn of butchering you, and then he had your turn of butchering you. That's how 9th went in the end. It was ridiculous. It was horrible. It made me feel like I had absolutely no agency in the game, so it became incredibly boring. I do think some of this was down to the over-complexity of the rules in 9th, which meant that people, who maybe have a couple of hours a week to do some hobby stuff, simply don't have time to get our heads around the rules and get good, quote-unquote. And this is why, I swear to God, there is a Warhammer god out there who gives me these stories in 1s and 2s. Because I picked these two at random and said, hey, has anyone read these to my readers, my editors? And they're like, yeah, we've read both of them, they're really good. But I didn't know that they followed on from each other so succinctly. So we have Bloodraven above this, who is talking to us about why 9th was really good, and he enjoyed it, which is fair enough. You are completely within your rights to enjoy the game how you want. And now he fears that 10th edition is going to be simpling things down too much. And now we have Matt, who is in full-time work. He's not a university student. You know, we had Bloodraven, who is a university student. He has a lot of time on his hands to look at these rules. I'm only saying that because I did when I was at university. I did the same thing. I became obsessed with winning and doing really powerful lists and armies because I had the time to do it. Whereas Matt here is in full-time work, and he doesn't really have the time to sit down and comprise this amazingly powerful list out of the 90,000 options of war gear and stratagems that he has available to him, right? 10th edition is designed for Matt. It's not really designed for Bloodraven, right? It is designed for Matt. Now, I'm sure Bloodraven can go and make some really powerful lists in 10th edition, which is why I'm hoping that that's still possible for the tournament scene and the power gamers, because they belong here too. And we're not trying to get rid of power gamers. We're trying to get you to play each other rather than us, right? Yeah. Stick to your own. You go, if you're a power gamer, you don't want to play a narrative game, go over there. Because I don't have the mental capacity or the want or the time to make a power gamery, you know, cheesy list. I just can't, right? I'm not how I want to play the game at all, right? So that's what 10th is made for. 10th is made for Matt. It's not really made for Bloodraven. That doesn't mean Bloodraven shouldn't be here. That just means that that's what the edition is. That's the place where Games Workshop chose to go. And I'm telling you now, there's probably more money in the 10th edition that they've made than a 9th edition plus. Do you know what I mean? There's more money in going after the Matts than there is going after the Bloodravens. I know from experience. I've ran 2 stores, and I've been in the hobby a long time. Listen, Matt will have disposable income because of his job, right? He will buy things because he thinks they're cool. So you'll buy the latest thing without necessarily needing it or wanting it. He just thinks it looks cool. You will make more money from him than you will through a normal power gamer. Why? Because all the power gamers I know, most of the time, buy their models on things like eBay, other second-hand marketplaces, Facebook, places like that. They will go and buy their models on there. Sometimes they'll go buy fully painted models simply because they're powerful in the current edition, so they'll go and buy them on eBay. They won't paint them, they won't base them, they won't do anything like that. That they're already ready painted for them in a not a very good paint scheme, but they don't care. These Marines could be pink and orange for all they care. It doesn't matter. They're there to play the game, and that's fine. Okay, that's fine. You're completely able to play your way. But there's more money in the Matts of this world who have a job, they have disposable income, and they really want to enjoy their hobby, and they're not going to compromise on that. They're going to say, no, I'm going to spend my money, I'm going to get myself some cool models, and I'm going to build them from scratch, I'm going to paint them from scratch. By the way, Games Workshop sell you all those paints and glues and things, right? They're making more money there. Then he's going to go out and buy some books, because he's a narrative guy. So he's going to buy some books from Black Library, he's going to buy some White Dwarfs, he's going to buy all these other things. If you're a power gamer, you don't do most of you don't do those things, or at least you don't do those things on a schedule that Games Workshop likes, right? You don't. You just don't do it at the same rate as a Matt, as a narrative guy. A narrative guy will pour money into the hobby because he's obsessed with the setting and he's obsessed with getting the nice models. He doesn't care if they work on the tabletop. He's not into the meta, he just wants cool shit. And somebody who wants cool shit will always spend more than some guy chasing a meta. It just is what it is. Right? And if that doesn't sound right to you, I'm sorry, that's how it works. That's how it works. If you cultivate narrative guys in your store, you will make more money than the power gamers. If you get loads of power gamers in your store, that's great. You'll have a vibrant community, don't get me wrong. You won't make any money though. Because these are power gamers. These are min-maxers. They're not min-maxing by buying models from your store without any discount. If you're a Games Workshop store manager, you shouldn't have power gamers in your store, or at least you shouldn't have many of them. Because they're never going to spend money in your store. Why? Because they're min-maxers in life. They get the absolute most, and they won't compromise at all. They want the absolute most for their money. They want the most from their models. So they'll go on eBay, or at a stretch, they'll go to somebody like Wayland Games or anyone else who gives them 30% off to go and get their models. They will never buy one in your store. And that's up to them. That's the free market, dude. That's up to them. Thing is, the narrative guys are the ones with the more money, and they're the ones who'll throw money at you just because they're like, oh, I like you. I like you as a manager. Here's some money. I'm going to buy that Dark Imperium box set. I don't really need the Death Guard, but maybe my son can play the Death Guard. I'll buy that. Yeah, no problem, right? A power gamer isn't going to do that. A power gamer isn't going to do that. He's not going to be like, oh, I'll buy that. Yeah, because it looks cool. Right? Games Workshop are making 10th edition for the Matts of this world, not the Bloodravens. And I'm sorry, Bloodraven, if I put you in a thing there. That's not how you are. I don't think that is how you are. I've read several of your stories. I don't think you're a massive power gamer or anything. I'm just using your name as a juxtaposition to jump off of and discuss something else. But that's where 10th edition's going. I think this has been a really cool video to explore that, to explore two different sides of the coin as a Hobby Nightmares. Because obviously Matt's had a Hobby Nightmare here where he literally is just like, no, I don't want to play this game with these people. Like, this is not what I'm here for. I didn't enjoy that. You know, it's not for me. And he will be very happy with 10th edition. But also, we're seeing how somebody like Bloodraven is perhaps left a bit behind and in the lurch, because he wants to build lists that are ultimately powerful, and not just powerful, but they represent his own thought process in building an army. That's what they do. So he wants his own army there to be exactly how he says it's going to be. You know, I'm going to have this weapon on this guy and that weapon on that guy. And yet he min-maxes because he wants to win, right? But also, he makes sure that his army is definitely his and can't be looked at. What I will say, Bloodraven, if you're happy to step away from needing to win games all of the time, like this is what I do, right? The Astral Blades, nearly every Astral Blade has a sword. Even the bog standard Marines, they have a sword. The only bog standard Marines in the Astral Blades are the recruits. You've just become an Astral Blade, you have a bolter, and that's it. You have a bolter, a combat knife, you're a normal Marine. I have 20 of those, maybe 30 in the whole force, in the whole collection. The rest of them, my normal guys, they're all Assault Marines. Not Assault Marines, but you know the close combat Primaris Marines, them with samurai swords. Is that legal? No, because they're all dual wielding the samurai sword. No, of course it's not. I just pick a template from the book and go, that's what they are. You know, they have one. You have one, like, I don't know, they've all got chain swords. This sword that they've got from their home planet has the same stat line as a chain sword. Done, brilliant, right? There's nothing stopping you from making your army exactly how you want it to look and exactly how you want it to play. Really, you just gotta jury-rig the rules a little bit and be like, okay, they're now chain swords. They're not like anything like that, right? There are ways and means of getting around your issue without having to say, well, Games Workshop didn't give me the option, so I can't do it. Bollocks, that, of course you can. You can have a Marine with 9 las cannons strapped to him if you want, right? He only uses 1 of them, but he's got 9 of them because it looks cool. Just do that. Do whatever you want with your models, man. Whatever you want. I don't like WYSIWYG. I really don't like WYSIWYG. As long as it's all accounted for in the list that you've got, and you play your list that you've got, and it's legal, dude, I don't care if you turn up with, 90 swords sticking out of a Space Marine's arse. I don't care. If you thought that was cool, power to you. Let's play some games and roll some dice, right? So that's my way of getting around it for Bloodraven, maybe, because I don't think you're that much of a power gamer. I think you're just like, you enjoyed 9th edition as it is. But 10th edition is made for guys like Matt. It's made for the narrative whales like me, who are going to go in there and drop some serious cash. So, love you a long time. I will speak to you probably over the weekend. I've got some more lessons to do, so I'll speak to you then. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, your week. And if I don't see you over the weekend, I'll see you on Monday for more Hobby Nightmares. See you then. And by the way, if you want to send me any, the email is down below. It's hobbynightmares@gmail.com. Send me that. Send me all of the Hobby Nightmares that you have, because I am now 1 nightmare away from reaching the end of the post bag. So you will be read out over the next few weeks if you have a little chat to me. All right. Love you a long time. See you later. Have a good one. Bye.